Wow, wow, wow. Well, Anthony, I think we're going to push away the international talk to the side for a bit. We might bring it up again later with the Azzurri. But Inter is your team. You shared a beautiful story. Before we get into the Supercoppa, Inter reigning Scudetto champions. They finally broke the curse of Juventus. Just overall, in terms of, before we get into like the nitty gritty and stuff like that, your expectations for this Inter squad coming into this new season is where they are. And well, obviously, you guys are first, so maybe that is where you expected them to be. I don't know. But just the way things have panned out for Inter so far this season, pretty much just after the halfway point, have your expectations been, on the same wavelength? How did you make this season to be? Obviously, new coach, some new players. Just your overall opinions of your expectations for Inter this season.
So overall, the expectations coming into this season, it's tough when you follow off like an act of Antonio Conte. It's very, very tough. The guy plays football in real life with a PlayStation controller, and he had every single player tweaked right to the core. And I think when something so systematic leaves, that's when people start to panic. I can almost guarantee you, if Conte doesn't walk, so doesn't Hakimi, and so doesn't Lukaku. That's a huge pillar to follow out. And that's where I knew the dominoes were going to start to fall. So the expectations immediately flipped from defend the badge on your chest and win the title to qualify for the top four comfortably and continue on this season. When we lost Antonio Conte, Lukaku, and Hakimi, and, God forbid, the horrible thing happened with Christian Eriksen, realistically, I looked at what's going on. I'm like, okay, this season automatically turned into a transitional season, just like that. It wasn't fair, but let's see what happens. This is where your backboard and, your Beppe Marottas really start waving their hand of God around and start doing things that you really don't think is possible from a director's point of view. He really is, in my opinion, the best in the country at what he does. His decision to get Inzaghi, when most people know Inzaghi didn't plan on leaving Lazio. He was ready to stay another couple of seasons. That's Marotta. They're going, dude, if you want a Scudetto, you come to us, you can win it. Getting Hakan, it's not the ideal signing to replace Eriksen. I sound silly saying that now after the form that he has had, but in hindsight, hindsight's 2020, obviously, but it's a great move replacing him technical ability wise, so that we weren't short on that creative midfielder role to an extent. The signing of Edin Dzeko, very feasible, cost feasible, and he has delivered very well. I don't need to talk about Romelu Lukaku's form, but that's what happens when you trade up a beautiful city like Milan, or where they put you on a pedestal and trade it in for a very, very judgmental pocket of London. He's fighting a losing battle there, and he's not getting any younger. But for me, altogether, just seeing that continuity on the pitch and more so off the pitch. I've said this a lot on my channel. When you look at Inter, this squadra might only have one capitano on paper, but you've probably got about 8 or 9 of them in that dressing room. Edin Dzeko captains Bosnia. You've had a captain for Croatia. Denzel Dumfries was the captain of PSV Eindhoven. And then as well as that, you've got Andrea Ranocchia, Danilo D'Ambrosio, Matteo Damian, and Gagliardini, who, what I've said right now, people would start thinking, what's this guy talking about? I'm talking about players who know the weight of the badge on their chest, don't sulk, big up the dressing room, and make sure standards are upheld. These players are very important when it comes down to the zeros and ones of winning leagues or just making top 4. Those are the zeros and ones. And our players that don't take the pitch are the ones that keep things elevated to the point of no return. And we've got a very good looking squad at the moment, and that's what I'm most impressed with. So I guess to put a long story short, my expectations, it's gone better than expected, especially when you throw in round of 16 qualification for the Champions League. That was a big hurdle for us to overcome, and we've done that now. So if we can push on, I don't expect us to get through Liverpool, but if Simone Inzaghi was to win a Scudetto in his first year, that would exceed my expectations, and he's definitely got my trust for the next 3 to 4 years.
Do you think maybe the difference of Inzaghi and Conte last year was just probably knowing how to utilize the bench? Maybe I feel like as if there's probably better, like it's as funny as it is to say, like bench management wise, I feel like as if it just always seems like there's always been a key sub or two. I think what was it, like the first or second game, Vidal gets subbed on and he scores like, what was it, 2 goals or something like that? He got like right off the bench or something. Like do you feel like as if he's what makes him a difference maker, or better yet, better worded, sorry, what makes him effective for Inter is that he knows how to utilize the bench? Do you think maybe that's it?
I think this year our depth has shown really in context to the rest of the league. Last year to an extent as well, but Inter can call on a lot of players at the moment who know exactly what to do and where to do it. And you're going up against sides who are still really trying to find themselves in a way this season. Like you look at Napoli, for example, they're starting a new cycle under Spalletti. They're going to drop more points than Inter in the back end of this season. I truly feel that way because I just think that's where the squad is at. This Milan side is building something very special, but you can see when you guys run out of starters, your bench is at the level that Inter's bench was at under Spalletti. And that makes sense because you're at the same part of your cycle now that we were at under the back end of Spalletti. And then when you look at Juve, oh, Nick, that's a whole different story, mate. Like, what did Allegri and Chiellini say on the sideline? Non che una squadra. This is not a squad. This is not a team. And it really isn't. And today you saw it as well. Like, I love Chiellini. I'm an Inter fan, and like he's up there on my wall in the Euro frame as well, man. I love Chiellini, but today he got to almost petty level flopping around, in my opinion, with just some of his like sulking. I don't know, maybe Nick saw it differently, but the pillars of Juventus that held that dressing room up, when you lose a Buffon and then you throw in a Ronaldo, the managerial merry-go-round, they need to find a new identity. They haven't found that yet. They're trying to find it again in Allegri. Whether it's the right one, I'm not too sure. But what I'm trying to say is in context to the rest of the league, Inter they've been biding their time. They've done things properly. We did not get here overnight. We came here with a really, really tough grind over the last decade. And now we can look at everyone in the squad going, I trust you, and I trust every single one of you. And I think that's very important.
Yeah, and you know what? I think what I was thinking today while watching the game, obviously Inter was miles ahead. I think at the end of the day, the better team won. Inter deserved it 100%. And I was watching it, I was thinking, as a Juve fan, this is, Inter's the best team in Italy right now. This is where Juve wants to get again. For many years, Juve was the best team in Italy, and a lot of teams played against Juve, got beat like that, and wanted to be at that level. So, I don't know where I'm going with this point, but yeah, just the identity thing. It just goes to show they were the best team. They deserved to play in it. And like you said, it is cycles, and not to go into depth about Juve at all, but for sure, I think they need to realize they need to start a cycle. They need to start rebuild, kind of a la Milan. I think Milan is maybe a bit closer to Scudetto right now than Juve is, because Juve really does need a restart. They need to get rid of a lot of contracts, kind of like what Inter did a couple years ago. So maybe Inter is kind of going to set a blueprint for what success looks like. I mean, Juve kind of did that 10 years ago too. So yeah, but talking about the game today, what did you make of it? Because we were kind of talking before, the excitement level of the game wasn't really good. Players kind of looked like they're out of energy, 120 minutes, game's not there. And then, at the end, whatever, Sanchez pounces on a mistake from Alexandro and wins the Supercoppa. So what did you make of it?
I think it went pretty much how most people thought it was going to go tactically, because Inter this season, although we've, pardon me, scored a lot of goals with a lot of different goal scorers, we still haven't been exceptionally good at breaking teams down. Where we excel is very blistering, quick pace, not always off the counter attack, but we'll make some 1-2 touches. We'll run between the lines and the triangles before you even blink, and before you know it, we're behind your line. But we don't technically break you down, so to speak, and Allegri knows that. So Allegri set up perfectly today. And as the game went on, I kept telling people the Juventus players on the pitch are doing very well. They are executing Allegri's plan the same way that he wants them to. But as the game goes on, you can clearly see there is one side that wants this. There is one side that doesn't want to go to penalties, and the other side that really, really wants to go to penalties. And for 90% of my life, Juventus has been on the first side of that coin. Juventus don't go to penalties. They go for it for the jugular. Pre-Conte, that game finishes 3-1 to Juve with 2 goals in extra time. We know this. I've lived the heartache, man. I've lived the tears. And today, it was just different. You saw a Juventus that knew how to drag Inter down for 90 minutes. And I feel like this is the sort of result that Allegri would go to the post-match and go, hey, we didn't actually lose the game. It was 1-1, because that's an Allegri thing to do. But especially towards the back end of extra time, I could just see the drop-off. I didn't expect us to score that incredible goal with Alexis Sanchez right at the end. But Inter did dominate possession, and they were always looking for the goal more often than Juve. It's just disappointing the way I think Inter played poorly today over the 90. I don't think we broke you down well. I thought we had lots of possession and did absolutely sweet F all with it. And I thought that we were going to come to rue it, because if that went to penalties, I think we probably would have lost. I have absolutely no evidence of that. I'm just saying it. But that's what happens. You can't be. So when I look after the game, you can't be surprised that you conceded a goal, even if it is in the 121st minute, because you really did everything to make sure Inter could throw the kitchen sink at you a couple more times. And that mistake and that mix up at the end, it's not Giorgio. It's not Giorgio at all. And that I think it almost signifies where things are at the moment. That last second, it was a little bit poetic, to be honest.
Yeah, poetic. Yeah, and it's funny how it happened to be a guy like Alexis Sanchez that puts his ball away, right? We don't know, like, him coming to Serie A was nice, brings another face, I guess, past his, I would say, real prime, I would say, but just to bring another spark to Serie A was always nice. And this is a guy who might not even stick around too long with Inter. I don't know his whole contract situation. Anthony, you know better than me, but it's just interesting to see him, score the goal. But you know what? Kudos to him. Right place, right time. Pounces on a mistake, and he wins Inter their 6th Supercoppa. Anthony, what do you say to the people that say, "Oh yeah, Supercoppa doesn't really mean anything. 6 times, okay, whatever." Were you like, obviously? I mean, personally, for me, it's if you're winning a trophy, and if there's a trophy on at the end of it, it means something. I'm not trying to compare it to the Champions League trophy, but listen, it's still a trophy. It's there to be won. On this personal occasion, it ended up being Inter and the better squad that you guys said. What do you make of people like saying it's just another garbage trophy?
It's one of those things where you say that if you lose the final, and you glorify it if you win the final, I guess. But for me personally, as long as it's a recognized competitive trophy, which the Supercoppa is, I'm more than happy for that. I'm not really about celebrating any sort of charity or preseason cups. Those are just ways to kill time. Sorry, Gianni, no offense to the bonsai tree for Roma, but for me personally, as long as it's a recognized cup and a recognized trophy, it matters. And today, I understand Juventus fans saying that. I don't think they feel that way, but I understand also why they'd say that, because it is not the most significant trophy, and they have won it many times. This isn't even the first time they've lost it to Simone Inzaghi, I'm pretty sure. So at the end of the day, this is way more significant and important for Inter than it is for Juve. I'm not going to sit here and not acknowledge that at all. We need this, because this is another momentum builder for the players in our team that have really grown from boys to men over the last 3 to 4 seasons. Like when I think back to where Skriniar, De Vrij, Brozovic, even Perisic, and now Bastoni as well coming through. You've got all these young players, not all young, sorry, just players that, whatever age they were, before they won the Scudetto with Conte, they had all this hard effort, all this grit, nothing very tangible to show for it. When you win a Scudetto, that propels you mentally. It shows you that you now know what it takes to get over the line. You've got something that a lot of other players don't. Now they've got another trophy to go with it. In context for how this season is supposed to finish, today was more than just a piece of silverware. Today was confirmation that you kick on, and Inter's going in the right direction. And now you've got something to hold to show for that. You're going in the right direction. Just keep on kicking on. So the Supercoppa is a fantastic momentum booster for whoever wins it. And in this scenario, it couldn't have gone better for us doing everything we can to defend our championship.